Aisha Navarro and Sheikh Khaled al-Rami looked like the definition of a fairy tale, a stunning Filipina bride and a powerful Dubai Sheikh. But when the wedding night ended with his body on silk sheets and her name on every wanted list, the truth behind their billion-dirham marriage turned darker than anyone could imagine. Aisha Navarro never imagined her new life in Dubai would start like a scene from a movie. At 24, she was the picture of ambition, sharp, beautiful, and determined to rise above the grind of working endless flights as a private attendant for the rich. She'd spent years smiling through turbulence, serving champagne to men who never remembered her name, dreaming that one day she'd be the one sitting in the private jet instead of serving on it. That dream started to feel real when Sheikh Khaled al-Rami walked into her life. He was everything Dubai whispered about: oil money, polished charm, a smile that made people forget their place. He met Aisha on one of his flights, and within weeks, she was swept into a lifestyle she'd only seen in influencer feeds: rooftop dinners, designer gifts, desert getaways. The attention felt intoxicating, and every glance from him promised safety, luxury, and escape. When he proposed after 3 months, it felt insane but irresistible. Everyone around her warned her to slow down, but she couldn't hear it. The wedding was pure extravagance: guests flown in by helicopter, golden table settings, fireworks over the sea. Aisha stood beside Khaled, dressed in silk and diamonds, feeling like she'd finally won. Yet under the perfection, a strange unease flickered. She couldn't ignore the way his family watched her, the whispers from staff who went quiet when she walked by, or the glance between Khaled and his cousin Sarah that didn't look like family business. Still, she convinced herself it was nerves. Love, she thought, had to be worth the risk. What she didn't know was that her name wasn't just written on a marriage certificate. It was printed on a contract worth 3 million dirhams. The wedding suite at the Palm Jumeirah Resort looked like something out of a billionaire's fantasy: all gold accents, glass walls, and the skyline of Dubai glittering outside like a promise. Aisha stood there barefoot on the marble floor, still in her wedding gown, heart pounding like it knew something her mind refused to face. The celebration had ended hours ago, the music fading into the hum of the city, and now it was just her and Khaled, husband and wife, locked in what was supposed to be their first night together. But the air felt strange, heavy, almost staged. Khaled moved with quiet precision, pouring champagne, checking his phone every few seconds, his jaw tight like he was waiting for something. Aisha tried to make sense of it, brushing off the unease until his phone lit up with a message that caught her eye. She only saw it for a second: a bank notification, a transaction labeled 3 million AED, marriage settlement. Her stomach turned to ice. She checked again when he stepped into the bathroom, scrolling through the email thread attached to it, her name written clearly in the subject line. The pieces crashed together fast and brutal: the quick proposal, the strange business meetings before the wedding, the guarded smiles from his cousin Sarah. She hadn't been chosen for love, she'd been bought. Her hands shook as she stared at herself in the mirror, the bride who wasn't a wife, but a transaction wrapped in white. When Khaled came out, everything exploded. The champagne spilled, the perfume bottle shattered, and within minutes, the fairy tale room became a nightmare. By dawn, the suite was silent. The Sheikh's body lay across the bed, blood soaking into the silk sheets, and the woman who was supposed to be his prize was gone, leaving only chaos behind. At precisely 6:45 in the morning, the Palm Jumeirah Resort woke up to the kind of scandal it had never seen before. Layla Mansour, the head concierge, got the call first. A housekeeper had found the bridal suite door half open, the room in ruins. When she arrived, the smell of expensive perfume mixed with something sharp and metallic filled the air. The suite, once dressed in gold and roses, now looked like a war zone. Champagne flutes were shattered across the marble, blood streaked the edge of the bed, and Sheikh Khaled al-Rami's body lay sprawled across white silk sheets, a diamond pin buried in his chest. His eyes were still open, fixed on the ceiling chandelier that kept spinning slowly, as if mocking the silence. Aisha Navarro, the new bride, was nowhere to be found. Her wedding gown lay crumpled near the balcony, one shoe missing, a trail of faint footprints leading toward the hallway. On the vanity mirror, written in smudged red lipstick, were the words, "I'm nobody's property." Layla froze, her mind racing. then quickly called hotel security. Within minutes, the entire floor was sealed off, and guests were ordered to stay inside their rooms. By the time Detective Farid Qasim arrived, the suite had become a crime scene draped in luxury. He scanned the space, noting what didn't add up: no forced entry, no stolen valuables, only deliberate destruction. The Sheikh's phone and laptop were missing, but his wallet and watch remained untouched. To the detective, it smelled less like robbery and more like rage. Still, something about the setup felt too clean, too staged. He'd seen passion killings before, but this was different. Methodical chaos meant to look messy. Somewhere in the glitter and blood, he sensed someone else's hand pulling the strings. By the next morning, the disappearance of Aisha Navarro had become front-page news, spreading across Dubai faster than wildfire. Every TV channel ran her photo, the stunning bride in white, now labeled a fugitive. The police launched an immediate citywide search, locking down airports, checking ports, and running her passport through every exit checkpoint. Still, she was nowhere. Detective Farid Qasim didn't buy the idea that she'd escaped on her own. Dubai was too controlled, too connected. Nobody vanished without help. Surveillance footage showed her leaving the Palm Jumeirah resort barefoot at 3:12 a.m., wearing only her blood-stained wedding robe and clutching a small clutch bag. After that, she melted into the city's glow. One camera caught her near a marina, then nothing. As Qasim dug deeper, something else surfaced. 2 hours before the murder, Sheikh Khalid's cousin and business manager, Sarah Al-Rami, had withdrawn 50,000 dirhams from a joint account she shared with him. That same night, her car was seen on the hotel's private road. When questioned, she claimed it was a coincidence, that she'd dropped off documents for her cousin's signature. But Qasim had seen enough liars to recognize one. The money trail told a different story. Sarah owned several unregistered properties, including one in Dera used by visa consultants, a polite term for underground brokers. She was connected to the kind of network that could make someone disappear without a trace. As the manhunt intensified, social media went wild. Some called Aisha a murderer, others a victim of trafficking gone wrong. The detective couldn't ignore the feeling that both might be true. The missing bride wasn't just running from the police. She was running from a secret so big that killing a sheikh was only the beginning of what it would expose. Detective Farid Qasim had learned that money always told the truth, and in this case, the truth came wrapped in spreadsheets and offshore transfers. Digging through Sheikh Khalid's encrypted files, he stumbled onto a folder buried deep in the cloud labeled Personal Contracts. Inside were dozens of documents tied to women from different countries, the kind of records that looked like dating agency paperwork but read more like business deals. Each file listed a woman's name, nationality, and transaction value, paid through shell companies. When he reached the file marked Aisha Navarro, 3 million AD, his stomach dropped. It wasn't a wedding, it was a sale. The groom wasn't marrying for love, he was closing a deal. Qasim traced the payments and discovered a middleman named Victor Mendoza, a Filipino recruiter who had arranged Aisha's private flight job months earlier. Victor's name appeared in multiple files, his accounts swelling every time a match was completed. What looked like matchmaking was really human trafficking under luxury branding. Aisha had unknowingly walked into the center of a multi-million dirham operation. The deeper Qasim dug, the clearer it became that Sarah Al-Rami wasn't just Khalid's cousin. She was his partner in the business, managing the books, laundering payments, and handpicking women from poor backgrounds. It all fit, except for one thing: the way Khalid died. The forensics report didn't match Aisha's size or strength. The pen that killed him had been driven into his chest with force inconsistent with her frame. There were traces of another person's fingerprints on the handle, faint, but female. Qasim's gut told him the bride didn't kill her husband. She had discovered the deal, maybe fought back, but someone else had been there. Someone who needed the sheikh gone, and the blame placed neatly on the woman everyone would believe had a motive. Detective Farid Qasim couldn't shake the feeling that the story everyone believed was only half the truth. The evidence looked perfect, too perfect, like someone had scripted every frame of the tragedy. Forensics confirmed that 2 champagne glasses had been used in the suite that night, one with traces of lipstick not matching Aisha's shade. A new set of partial fingerprints found on the bottle matched Sarah Al-Rami. The cousin had lied. She wasn't just involved in the Sheikh's business deals. She had been inside that room before he died. When police raided her office, they found files shredded and a safe containing burner phones, fake passports, and a ledger coded with initials and numbers. A map of the trafficking network Khaled and Sarah had built. One page stood out, K.A.R. SCR, terminate partnership. It was dated the night of the wedding. That one note told Qasim everything. Khaled had planned to cut Sarah out, threatening to expose her in exchange for full control. She must have panicked. The confrontation escalated, and when Aisha discovered the truth, that she'd been sold like property, Sarah seized the chaos as her chance. The pen used in the murder bore traces of Sarah's DNA mixed with Khaled's, while Aisha's prints were smeared afterward, like someone had tried to plant them. Then came the biggest break. Aisha's clutch bag was found floating near the marina. Inside it, a recording from her phone. Khaled's voice argued with Sarah, demanding his share and warning her that the bride knows everything. Seconds later, there was a crash, a scream, and silence. Aisha had fled after witnessing the killing, convinced no one would believe her. To Sarah, it was perfect, one clean cut that erased her partner and framed the victim. But Qasim finally saw it for what it was, a setup carved out of greed and fear, disguised as a crime of passion. The truth unraveled like silk catching fire, fast and unstoppable. Within 48 hours, Detective Farid Qasim had enough proof to shatter the story the media had been feeding on. The digital recording from Aisha's phone was authenticated, and the forensics report pinned the final nail in Sarah al-Rami's carefully built empire. The Sheikh's death wasn't an act of rage. It was a business move gone wrong, covered in blood and diamonds. Qasim ordered a covert operation to locate Aisha, tracing her last signal to an abandoned warehouse near the old port. When they found her, she looked nothing like the viral photo plastered across every news feed. Gone was the glittering bride. In her place stood a woman hollowed out by betrayal, exhausted but alive. She surrendered quietly, eyes distant, clutching a small flash drive that contained copies of every contract Sarah and Khaled had hidden. Qasim didn't see a murderer. He saw a survivor who had stumbled into a trap built by the powerful. That same night, police raided Sarah's villa in Emirates Hills. She tried to escape through the service tunnel, but was cornered before dawn. The ledger, passports, and offshore accounts tied her to trafficking, money laundering, and Khaled's murder. As news broke, the narrative flipped overnight. The world that once labeled Aisha as a killer now called her the woman who exposed Dubai's most secretive exploitation ring. Months later, the case became a global headline. The bride who burned the empire. Aisha vanished again after testifying, rumored to be living under a new identity somewhere far from Dubai's lights. Detective Qasim never confirmed it, but every year on the case's anniversary, he received an unmarked envelope with a single note inside. Not all cages have bars. It reminded him that justice doesn't always look clean. Sometimes, it's written in blood and silence.